Hello, everybody, and welcome to our show. I am Katina, and on tonight I have Miss Nikki with me. Hey, Nikki, how are you?
Hello. How are you? How's everyone?
Good. Sitting here in our cozy little spots. But tonight we want to focus on thanking God for our redemption. This is our thankful season, with November coming up, and we talk about being thankful and grateful. So we want to discuss how thanking God for our redemption and what does that mean to you? What is when you think about the season being thankful and think about being a Christian, a woman of faith, what does redemption mean to you? So I was just going to share what I think redemption to me redemption, I think about me coming from one form of my life to another form, being, as we say, saved from one thing to another, so that I could have an eternal life after this body goes back to the dirt. After it goes in, we all have to take that walk of life, and it got to end, and we're going to see where we're going to go after that. So I believe that, the redemption for me is saving me from things that I did in the past that wasn't good in my body, my natural body, my mental, even my emotional state, and my spiritual state. And he's now given me the capability to be redeemed from that, and so that I can have eternal life. What's your thoughts on that, Nikki? And also tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself to our audience on today so that they know who's in here in the house with me on tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. Very excited to be a part of the show today. So much to kind of unwrap, and the time that we have allotted, but we're going to try to do what we have to do, right?
Yes, yes.
Again, I'm Nikki Savage. I am the owner, CEO of FSA Consulting Group. So we do mostly like business services, if you will. So,
Mhm.
if you have issues or if you need assistance with like your credit, if you're someone that is an owner operator of your own business but you're looking to try to scale and you need to get your business credit kind of started up, we can help with that. If
Great.
you're someone that's to say into real estate and you're just like, hey, I want to start investing into buying the block or any of that kind of stuff, I can actually help to get you funded for that as well. And then if you have your own brick and mortar store, and let's say you've been like doing Cash App, you've been doing Zelle, but you're like, you
Mhm.
know what? I need to have an official point of sale system, a merchant processing system. I can assist you with that as well. So those are just some of the things that we have that we offer as far as the services for our company. So
Yes. Thank
yeah.
kudos. Go, Nikki.
Yeah.
Go, Nikki.
Thank you.
And for our audience, most of y'all know that on the Maria Moore show, we are entrepreneurs. She likes to introduce different business to us. So let us know what's in our community about networking together. But she holistically talks about spirit, soul, and body all together as one to be us that whole complete man or woman doing what we're destined to do in this earth. So those are why she didn't answer the question. She just gave me a
That's
little
right.
backdrop. You know how we are. We want to know who we talking to, who in the house, who ain't in the house. So we had to give her an introduction and a kudos for being a black entrepreneur and doing what she does and do it well. So after you talk about like with the redemption during this thankful season, but then also maybe flow into how your entrepreneurship and being thankful within the faith-based community, how that all flows together for you. So go ahead, Nikki. Give me your thoughts on that.
So I would say, I agree a lot of the sentiments that you express about what redemption looks like, right? I would say for me, redemption is just it's continuous, right?
Mhm.
It's evolving, right?
Right.
So it's like, when you know better, you do better, and
Mhm.
I think that for me, I try to practice any and every opportunity I can to try to find, or practice gratitude, right?
Yes.
To also stop and think, what is this situation teaching me? I try to look at things from, the good, bad, or indifferent, right? And I try to look at everything as a learning opportunity. And I try to treat people with kindness in any situation, even if there's a situation where someone maybe is not, demonstrating those things towards me. I still try to take the higher road because I know ultimately, how you respond to someone, you can't change how somebody, does something towards you or any of those types of things, but you can
Mhm.
always channel how you respond to things, right? That's your opportunity to kind of say, go within and say, hey, you know what? Do I have to kind of meet this person or this situation where it is? Or can I try to
Mhm.
take a step back, and do that internalization and say, was there a better approach? Sometimes that's easier said than done. But I feel like if we try to be better about doing that as we
Mhm.
approach life and as we're going through different things, I feel like it just kind of helps the cause better. It helps, it helps our causes. We're trying to elevate, we're trying to grow, right? So that's why I say I feel like for me, redemption is it's an ongoing process. It's not this is what it used to be. And because I'll be honest, there are days where you're just like, and it just
Yeah.
might be that type of situation, right? But that's an ongoing thing. We're not robots. We're not, we're constantly being challenged. We're constantly, having our faith tested, our character tested, and how
Mhm.
you respond on a daily, how you internalize those things, how you look back and see what the lessons and things are. I feel like is how you can grow, not go through life, you grow through life. That's my
Oh,
interpretation. I know it's long and thought out, thrown out, but
I like that. I like that. Say that again, my girl. Drop that nuggets. Drop that
yeah,
nuggets. Go ahead. Say that
yeah.
again.
So you don't. So the thing is, we say a lot of times, I'm just going through life, and I'm just going through this. No, you're growing. Because anything
Mhm.
that's not growing is dead. And as long
Right.
as you open up those two gifts, your eyes, and you
Yes.
breathe in, you're
Yes.
growing. You're growing. You should be looking for those things to kind of reflect on, those things
Mhm.
that can kind of help to challenge you, to help to, for you to get out of your comfort zone, and
Yes.
also in the process of you evolving, being able to pass that on to other people, you know
Yeah, I
so
like that. I
yeah,
relate that. You gave me a different outlook to say that, it's an ongoing process because
yeah, yeah,
because until we take our last breath or
yes,
close our
yeah,
eyes, it's a
absolutely,
I'm a readapt to that to say it's an ongoing process of redemption. 'Cause
absolutely,
you're right, because some things I might feel like, oh, I'm good in this, but then something will pop up and like,
yeah.
girlfriend, you need some help in that area big time. You know,
It
you need some
happens,
you, you need some help, honey.
it
You
happens,
ain't got it. You ain't got it.
absolutely,
You know.
absolutely.
So that's I love that. I'm
Good,
growing.
yeah,
I'm not going through, but I'm growing through. Um,
absolutely.
that's that's a big thing. So how do you feel in reference to with your with your business? I'm just thinking it's the same principle as you're growing as an entrepreneurship that you're growing through different things
You have to.
and then I like the fact that as we think about, even being thankful during the season and with the entrepreneurship and in the faith-based community, being
Yep.
that light and being that example to
Yes. Yeah.
show that, hey, I am an entrepreneur, I do this, but my faith is what's helping me grow through situations that are
Yes.
challenges. And sometimes, as being women, it could be
Yep.
challenging just coming out the gate if you're in a business to where it could be male dominated, at
Yep.
times,
Yep.
so that is that's a great thing. I just love how your perspective just hit all points at, you just pulled it all in together in one little answer, right? and one whole answer. You just pulled it all in together. So I'm really thankful for that. Now let's discuss, during the holiday seasons, how do we manage it can be a very emotional time for us. And
Yeah.
during this season we're thankful, we're appreciative, we have gratitude, but there is sometimes during this holiday where some people don't experience that in their emotions. They're more or
Yeah.
less they have lost loved ones like a year ago, 2 years
Yeah.
ago, or even just recently
Yeah.
within this month. I've experienced that. We lost my aunt.
I'm sorry to
So
hear that. Yeah.
yeah, so navigating through this type of season with our emotions. How do you have navigated through this time of even though being thankful and with other people and their emotions and things, and if you experience it, how do you feel, how do you navigate, how do you find some peace or even some type of a moment to where you can just take a
You
breath.
know, I will say this. I will say that loss and grief is just those are things that nothing can really prepare for that fully. But what I will say is that you have to look at the bright side, right? The bright side is that as long as you are still living, right, and you
Mhm.
still have other people that you love on and that love on you, right, you can still find that solace, if you will. You can still find comfort in knowing that, the journey still kind of goes on.
Right.
Doesn't mean that, you kind of have to just, go and just kind of isolate yourself. Well, some people, sometimes things look different to people. Some people have different ways that
Mhm.
they have to kind of manage that, right? But I guess just kind of always remembering that you are very special. You're important. The people that have gone on, right, and that are no longer with us wouldn't want you to be in a situation where you're wallowing and
Right.
just sadness, you
Mhm.
know, and just thinking about the memories,
Mhm.
that you
Right.
had, thinking about the memories, because some people don't even have that, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
just trying to channel in on those things, and then
Mhm.
maybe also trying to think about your perspective on it, you
Mhm.
know.
Right. Yeah.
Um just looks
I think
different for different people, you
yeah,
know.
'cause it's different because like I know they talk about different stages of grief and
Yep,
the different emotions that you'll go through and today
yep,
might be, hey, I'm laughing, next day I might be crying, I might be
yeah,
frustrated, I might be
yeah,
angry, I want to be isolated
yeah,
by myself, but the one thing that I'm gonna say for myself, because
yeah,
like you said, everybody's path is different. The
yeah,
fact that I think about for me what helps me, I think of the good times.
yep,
I'm saddened that here it is, the holiday season, and I don't physically get to see her anymore.
yeah,
But I start thinking about the past holiday seasons, the
yep,
past times that we were together. And I know, and
yep,
that takes a time of transition, for everyone
yep,
to get to that place,
yeah,
and I'm learning that everyone's grief pattern being different, like my cousins, that was their mom. So
yeah,
with
yeah,
that being said, I'm like, hey, I'll call and check on them, see how you doing. And my other cousin was like, oh no, today I'm not good.
yeah,
I'm not good. And
yeah,
so can you
yeah,
kind of like give me some time? And I'm like, sure, sure. And being respectful. Like one thing we talked about, my one cousin was like, hey, people say you shouldn't be grieving like this at this amount of time, or it should be, this done happened this year or gotta go. And I feel like no, because everyone goes through different things. So my
yeah,
grief time, I don't feel it should be on a timeline or a time scale, a limited of how you
no,
have. I don't think you ever really stop grieving.
you don't. It just starts to look different.
Right, right. It looks
It
different.
just
The
looks different.
dynamics. Yeah, the dynamics
Absolutely.
of it. And I
Yeah.
even say during this season, like to encourage other people, think of the good things, or even do a thinking about doing a collage of all the
Yes.
pictures, all the pictures
Yes.
of us at family gatherings and put it
Yeah.
together and put it up on a nice and put up on the
Yeah.
wall, and then
Yeah.
have it say, oh, remember we did this, remember we did that,
Yeah.
so try to think of different creative ways,
Yeah.
to honor their life,
Yes.
to
Yes.
celebrate their life, and even though they're not physically here with us, so I
Absolutely.
thinking about that, thinking about how we can honor them, during
Yeah.
the season that they're not here with us. But moment, as get to that point, when you get to that stage, get to that point to
Absolutely.
where, you.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
any
I
any other
agree.
tips you have? Yeah, any other tips or anything that you would have?
I will say this too. I think that because the world is set up the way that it's set up in society, that everything is just, we're all on this rat race, right? This rat race, right? And I think
Yes.
that because of that, and because of, we're human beings, we have emotions, we have feelings, and we could be up, we could be down, and then we
Mm-hmm.
don't really get a chance to process grief.
Right.
A lot of
Right.
us. we have time off from work or so, just enough time to be able to, make sure that our loved ones have, their proper services and all that kind of stuff. But you're
Right.
not prepared for that. You don't get prepared for what is it like, what does life look like after that, after that point,
Right.
And
Right.
so nobody can tell any of us how long that needs to take, to go through that. And my whole
Yes.
thing is that like that grief process is going to continue to change. It's going to continue to evolve,
Mhm.
and what I would say is people should do what soothes the soul in terms
Yes.
of how they need to heal and how they need to kind of feel and go through those things. Like you, and I love
Yeah.
what you said about journaling. A lot of us don't even realize how significant something like that is. It's such
Mhm.
a simple thing, but it's very significant,
Yes.
because we walk around with all this in our heads,
Mhm.
right? All these
Yes.
feelings, all these emotions. Sometimes you might have a partner, a husband, a wife, or whomever, or a close sister, close brother. But sometimes you might not that might not be the proper audience to kind of talk or unleash whatever those thoughts and feelings are.
Yes.
So that's where, the journaling becomes even more significant because you got to get that out. You have
Yes.
to. You
Yes.
cannot keep that inside. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes. And
You
that's the
know?
one thing I have always heard. A friend of mine, she said, when you go through grief and loss, you want to grieve healthy,
Yeah.
because grieving is a natural part of life, but
Yeah.
sometimes we can grieve unhealthy, and then
Yeah.
it's so not good for us, which can cause, because it's been proven, our emotions do have an effect on our body. When you
Yep.
stress out, your
Yep.
body does all types of things, and when you're carrying those things of weights,
Yes.
and
Like
sometimes we have
sandbags.
regret.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
like those sandbags. Like, would you ever want to be tied to a sandbag and then thrown into the river or thrown into like the
Mhm.
water?
Come
You would
on.
feel like it's just suffocating, right? So at some point we have to start to disconnect and start to cut those sandbags and we have to let it out. I'll
Yeah.
say this, being from a different generation, I'm always into things that are not like the norm where you can kind of express how you
Mhm.
feel, not even in a grief perspective, but we think well that too, but we also we think about grief always and attributing it to someone passing. But what about grief
Right.
for any other things that have not matriculated in your life? Maybe some people
Right.
feel like they have been experiencing grief because they simply don't feel like they are where they're supposed to be in life.
Mhm.
It's a whole lot of things. But what I will say is, my point is that whatever you need to do to have an outlet, and it doesn't have to just be one outlet. Like I saw
Mhm.
something pretty neat actually. It was an experience in I think Atlanta where people can groups of people, or you can do it as an individual. You can go to this particular place, you put a jumpsuit on, and you can just like break things.
Oh, yes, I've heard about that.
You
Yes.
just go in and you just break stuff and you tear stuff
Yes.
up. That's it.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
sounds silly, right? And we
Yes.
laugh,
But
but
but the
until
release
you
that you
do
get.
it and that release, that might be something that's like the start of the breakthrough for someone.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
And that is great, because
So
I like the fact you brung that up about just grief for anything,
yeah,
because I was seeing, during the pandemic, it wasn't just physical death. People lost their jobs,
yeah,
their place to
yeah,
stay, their,
yeah,
what you're used to as being your status quo, or
yeah,
your standard of living, or it
yes,
has now shifted, it has changed.
yes,
And
yes,
so, I even thought about, I mean, for me, I used to be one of them girls. I used to love beat my face, beat my face, beat my face,
yeah,
my
yeah,
makeup and stuff. But then
right,
realizing, okay, I'm not wearing any makeup. That could be
right,
traumatizing. It might be something that's little,
right.
it's trivial. It went to somebody else, like, oh, she just not wearing makeup. But some of
But that
us,
was a part of your life. That was an
right, that
integral
was
part of your life.
right. So I like to look pretty. I want to look pretty. And I'm
Yeah,
thinking I look pretty because I got some makeup on.
yeah.
But it had me
But your
to
skin is
really,
flawless. I want you to know that just to throw that in there. Your skin is very I love it. So,
oh, thank you.
yes. Yes.
But yeah, but some of us, and being real as women, because the
Yeah.
pressure is on for us, how society makes us want to look a certain way. This is what
Absolutely.
acceptable. This is what
Yes.
beauty is.
Yeah.
So then when the ability not to go out, and then it's like money funny, no, now I'm using my own stuff.
Yep.
you know?
Yep. Yep.
So
Absolutely.
so it's just like, okay, now
Yep.
what? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Right. Right.
Right. So when I started to come off of the makeup,
Uh-huh.
and then I started because I'm at home when I need to put
Yeah.
no makeup on. So when I went out and I was like, I walked out the house with no makeup on. Oh my God, somebody's gonna see me. So that was a process for me. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
It was a
It's
process.
an
So
adjustment, right? It's an adjustment, but then at some point you kind of start thinking like, I didn't really need to do all of that anyway.
nope.
I'm actually
Mm-mm.
kind of digging this whole new shift,
Yes.
and I think that
Yes.
also speaks to, like loving on yourself enough to know that before somebody else can, or you can look to see what is acceptable for someone else, you got to make sure it fits and works for you, and you got to be
Yeah.
comfortable, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
and and, and it's fine.
Yes. And that's and
It's totally fine.
yeah, and that's the thing. And so in this season, I can be thankful for the change.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
be thankful for the shift. And like
Yes.
you said, I can be during this season, thankful for,
Yeah.
the redemption of knowing that that didn't make who I was.
Right. Doesn't
It
define
would
you.
be
Does not
right.
define you.
It doesn't define me.
Yep.
That could be used as an enhancement, but I'm still who God created me to be. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I'm still who
right.
God created me to be, and
That's
I'm
it.
grateful for that. And it's like you said, grow. I'm not going
Yes.
through, but I'm
You are
growing through.
growing. And it's constant, it's evolving, it's constantly changing. It's not static. And so when you think about it from that perspective, it kind of just helps that journey, helps the
Yeah.
process for that journey that you're on. And
Yeah.
whoever you are at this moment is not who you're gonna be even 6 months from now.
Right.
You know, the
Right.
expectation is that that's you're gonna continue to, so and it's fine.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I like is that understanding that it's okay. It's
Yes.
it's it's okay because sometimes it's like this is okay, but this is not by society standards.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
okay, this is not. And the one thing, like I said, I love how Maria Moore does this when she talks about real things, real
Yes.
issues, and it's for
Yes.
the wholeness of whoever you are, your business, emotional, spiritual, naturally, everything,
Yep.
because it once everything is in harmony and is
Yes.
synced together, when that whole package comes out,
Yeah.
everybody can enjoy.
Absolutely.
Everybody can enjoy, and that helps strengthen our communities, strengthen
Yep.
the network, and that we can have that bond together. And so I love that, all right, Nikki, I'm so glad you're on with me
Yeah,
tonight, girl.
you're
I'm so glad that you're on with us
fine.
tonight. I guess one other thing, as in, if you had something during this season that you could really give to the world, like if you had one thing that you could give to the world to say in doing the thankfulness of the season and thinking
Yeah.
about the redemption, what
Yeah.
what's the one thing you say you want to give to the world so that they know?
I would just say, you know, and it might sound just like super super simple, but honestly, gratitude. Because I'm going to tell
Mhm.
you, before our life kind of changed, after COVID or so, you pray, and you say you're thankful, and you say your grace, and you do this and do that. But I feel like once COVID hit, it just made me kind of put a lot more in perspective.
Mhm.
And I practice gratitude daily. It's not just upon, sun, waking up and going to sleep, but it's throughout the day. I feel like just practice gratitude
Mhm.
all the time, any chance you get. You using the
Mhm.
restroom, taking a break from, being on the auto dialer at work or something. You in a call center job or
Right.
something. You in the
Right.
restroom,
Right.
you handling your business, you paying your water bill, right?
Right. Right.
Practice gratitude. No,
Yes.
really though.
Yes. I
Practice
got you.
gratitude. Get in a habit
Mhm.
of that. It's a very simple thing because some of us, we have just gotten away from some of those things. And I
Mhm.
think that the more we practice gratitude, the more certain things can start to shift in our lives. the
Hmm.
more, we can start to receive the abundance of things. And, we can kind of demonstrate that, we are deserving of certain things. But when we just kind of get away from some of those simple things, and when we kind of start, losing those things, that's when life can become very just, it could just be a little cloudy. It could just be different, But I would
Right.
just say, if nothing else, practice gratitude every chance you get.
Hmm.
Doesn't cost anything, doesn't take a lot of time, but just
Right.
and be very intentional with
Hmm.
your expression of practicing gratitude,
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, that is gratitude is a great way to always begin, middle,
Yeah.
and
Yes. Yes.
transition
Yes.
everything because
Yeah.
you're right with the COVID we tend to take things for granted, for
Yep.
real granted, where the fact is that at one time we get up, go to the store,
Yep.
then they shut
Yep.
everything down, you can't go, and then when we were able to go, it
Yep.
was like what was there in the stores after stuff was gone,
Exactly.
this was gone, that was
Exactly.
gone, and so
Yeah.
being grateful for what I do
That's it.
have, and you know what, not complaining, not
No.
complaining.
No.
No, not complaining and giving a great hand, giving a hand, being helpful to each
That's
other,
right. That's right.
being helpful. And that's some of the things that I've learned about um in this season for me in growth, as you're saying,
Yeah.
growing, being
Yes.
you're being more aware and making a
Yes.
conscious effort to
Yes.
be aware.
Yeah.
So,
And I feel
you know,
like that goes along the lines of redemption because, again, we're evolving. It's constant,
mhm,
right? And the more
yes.
we focus in on those things that we can say that we're appreciative of, right? The less
Mhm,
time we have for complaints. Because I feel like as
right.
long as you're breathing, as long as you have all your mental faculties, as long as you don't need any assistance for mobility and certain things that we know some people have issues and troubles with and things of that nature, what are you
Mhm,
really complaining about? You know?
right.
What are you complaining about?
A-
Honestly.
Absolutely. You know what, Nikki? I am so grateful and thankful that you took the half an hour time to come
Yes.
to be with us on the Maria Moore show. And again, I am
Yeah.
Katina. I'm just so grateful. Like we said, this is the season of being thankful. If you need
Yes.
anything, you can reach out to the Maria Moore. We have our information will be listed. We also want to give a shout out to Best Choice, who's one of our sponsors, Best Choice Loans, the best people to get you a loan for home. Check them out. Check them out. But we just want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Thank you again, Nikki, and have yourself
Yes,
a
thank you for
wonderful
having me.
Thanksgiving.
Yes,
Goodbye,
you as
everybody.
well.